Welcome, gentle observers and seekers of the real heartbeat behind the headlines, to Turkish series stars. For a few minutes, let the clamor of trending tags fade. Forget the ambush photos and the baited whispers. Today, we are not tracking where they were spotted or with whom. We are tracing who they are becoming. There is a thread you cannot photograph, thin as silk, resilient as tempered steel, that still stretches between Ozan and Sinem. It's not a thread woven from clandestine rendezvous or hidden DMs, but from the echo of their art. They aren't sharing a set these days. They don't swap lines in the same trailer or time their smiles for the same flash. Yet if you lean in, eyes closed, you will hear it, the separate stories they're telling vibrate with the same aching note. Before we descend into this interior landscape, a small request to keep our haven alive. Subscribe, tap the bell, and if you want to stand with storytelling that digs beneath the gloss and dares to look for the soul, press the join button. Your presence steadies our compass. We're not here to wander through syrupy nostalgia or to feed that cyclical rumor about a reconciliation that belongs more to longing than to life. We're not tallying trophies or stacking milestones. The question on our table is sharper, more intimate, nearly philosophical: what shifts inside people? Tectonically, after a bond either breaks or evolves into something unnameable? And how does that inner tremor redraw the map of their craft? With Blue Cave, Ozan stepped somewhere many didn't expect. He walked out from behind the shield of the reliable leading man, the charismatic figure audiences trust to carry a frame, and waded straight into the bloodstream of the narrative itself. He isn't content to embody lines anymore. He drafts the blueprint, inks the edges, breathes into the stillness between sentences. He writes, he narrates, he gives heft and temperature to feelings most of us have trained ourselves to lock away, safe in the basement of our minds. Across the horizon, with two worlds, one desire, Sinem makes a quiet but implacable pivot. She brushes past the chatter that starts with "she's adorable," but the easy compliments that turn into soft ceilings, and steps out of the mold the industry once tried to pour her into. She sets aside the noise and states, calmly, devastatingly, "I'm not here to perform someone else's pulse. I have a pulse of my own, and you're going to hear it." These two works did not drop like random meteorites on distant continents. They are not subtweets to tabloid lines, nor bottled signals tossed across the Black Sea that separates publicity cycles. They are the afterglow, the residue of light left behind when two people weather the same storm, survive, and then continue in opposite directions while still under one sky. If you've ever wondered, is all this truly coincidence, keep watching. Some loves only make sense when they're no longer daily. Some chords don't snap, they retune, settling into an undertone instead of a bind. It's there, in that shared chamber of inspiration, that the story of Ozan and Sinem now resides. In the crush of day-to-day gossip, we flatten lives into two labels, begun and ended. But what evaporates is only the tag. The imprint remains. The changed reflexes. The new quiet that grew where a voice used to sit. The way the world tilts forever so slightly after you've been seen, and after you've said goodbye. When Ozan and Sinem walked their separate paths, there was no staged meltdown, no public skirmish cooked under the noon sun. No poisonous statements, no decay left out for the flies. What came after was a full silence, dense as dusk. And inside that silence, a single question hummed: what are they creating now that they couldn't create then? For Ozan, acting was never only a job. It was craft, iron routine, measured rigor, the lifelong calibration of gesture and breath. Blue Cave layered something raw onto that discipline, the compulsion to sculpt a story from the core outward. Actors don't begin writing on a whim. It usually aligns with a private and difficult threshold, the moment you accept that lending your voice to other people's thoughts will no longer sustain you. That's when the artery opens straight from chest to page. Blue Cave refuses the warm blanket of a familiar romantic plot. It is stitched not from conquest but from recognitions that arrive late, heavy as river stones and just as honest. Sinem steps onto the screen composed, exacting, faultlessly strong. He keeps a firm lid on his heart, having learned, through losses no one sees, that silence can serve as armor as well as prison. And the film orbits a blinding, ruthless question: are some feelings truly too late, or were we only too frightened to speak them when they mattered? That question doesn't haunt audiences alone, it ricochets right through the architect of the tale. Ozan had to write it before a camera ever hummed. This is masculinity turned transparent, the admission that muscle never shields anyone from regret. Dear friends of Turkish series stars, have you sensed this new contour in Ozan? Do you feel him talking through Sinem, letting what he never said flicker on the edge of his eyes? Tell us below, your truth matters here. Sinem's arc runs parallel, not identical. From the outside, her ascent can look polished, bathed in flattering light. But brilliance is not the same as being heard. For years, soft judgments trailed her, sentences that began with praise and ended with a wall. She's charming, but she's great for light roles, but she didn't issue rebuttals in 280 characters. She didn't swing back, comment for comment, just to win the day. She did something fiercer. She wrote. With 2 worlds, 1 desire, she enters the ring not as a performer alone but as the proprietor of her moral and emotional compass. The heart of her film is not romance in the tidy sense. It is the odyssey of people stranded in the maze of adulthood who stumble upon the child they left behind to make it this far. The most startling choice, perhaps, is the absence. There is no bitterness, no scorekeeping, no ritual humiliation of ghosts who caused old pain. The story is angled toward healing. It makes room for mercy. It keeps faith that hope is not naive, but elemental. Place Blue Cave and 2 worlds, 1 desire side by side, and a rope of unsaid kinship binds them. It's not a match of plot or character type. The kinship pulses in their roots. Ozan's narrative is dark like an hour that's almost tomorrow, contemplative, volatile under still water, tugging at questions that refuse to be arranged. Sinem's is dawn, soft, restorative, full of breath. One dives down along the dangerous current, the other lays out a field where the lungs can open again. Not a ranking, just a weather system passing different windows of the same home. We misunderstand inspiration all the time. We imagine it demands proximity, rooms shared, scripts sprawled across coffee cups, a laugh breaking into a note. But the deeper current travels like radio, no touch required. Sometimes, what one person dares, gazing into the private abyss, gives another person the courage to light a path. When Ozan wrote Blue Cave, when Sinem shaped 2 worlds, 1 desire, it was not a duel across distance. It was a parallel awakening. 2 replies rising out of 1 silence they both knew intimately. Why do magazines and fast-twitch sites stumble on this chapter? Because it refuses their usual scaffolding. No fireworks of a fight to monetize. No cutting interview to dissect word by word. No clear ladder of who's up and who's down. And that is exactly why it grips us. It invites the honest question: do people change once love is over? Can they leave with the lesson instead of the wound? Ozan and Sinem, without slogans or speeches, deliver a layered yes. Neither denies what came before. Neither recreates it for applause. There are no winks to bait a storm, no nostalgia as currency. The work stands and speaks. Sometimes, in life as in cinema, that's thunder enough. Here is the disarming conclusion, the quiet current of mutual inspiration. Some influences slide under the door and settle in the least expected corner. Some loves keep rearranging the breath long after farewell. That is where Ozan Baba and Sinem Unsal now walk. Not hand in hand. Not estranged in spirit. 2 lanes of the same road, each carrying a different colored lantern. Look closely at the present tense. This isn't a rivalry. It isn't a graph line racing to be tallest. It is the chronicle of 2 artists who once shared an intense world and now answer the same existential prompt in distinct voices. Ozan speaks about the weight of unmailed sentences, the ache of late understanding, the private fragility of a man trained to be unshakable. Through Sinem, he lets control tremble just enough to let truth escape. From her vantage, Sinem doesn't urge us to camp in unfinished rooms. She reminds us that healing is allowed, that faith can remain after curtains fall, that the unexpected still knows our address. Set their films side by side and you don't witness a clash, you witness a completion. Perhaps what their love taught them was simple and relentless: bottle a feeling and it becomes a storm. One journeyed through a midnight cavern to make peace with thunder. The other opened the blinds and let morning do what morning does. Two maps, one destination, to finally tell the story that never stopped pressing at the ribs. We have reached the end of this reflection, and we hope it has found your deepest chords here at Turkish series stars. The tale of Ozan and Sinem affirms that art is the one language where love does not die, it alters its shape and keeps speaking. Do you see the mirrored glimmers in their works? Do you feel their artistic souls in conversation, even from afar? Share your heart in the comments, your voice enriches ours. If you felt the care and courage we brought to this delicate subject, touch like and send this video to someone who loves the truth under the glitter. And if you wish to keep the light on for stories like these, we warmly invite you to click join. Your support is the lamp that guides our steps. Thank you for being here. Until the next video, where emotion takes the lead and never lets go.